Welcome to MMOFTW Live with your host Bill Murphy and your other host Robert Graculin Lashley. Wave hi, Rob, like always.
Go Notre Dame.
Go Notre Dame.
It's
Sorry
not
if
working
you're in
out so well right
Alabama.
now, though.
Yeah, please go faster, Notre Dame. I live pretty closely to Indiana, and that's the best we're gonna get considering Ohio State is blocked out for the next few years. So go Notre Dame. Yeah. Anyway, welcome. You guys, you're here watching MMO show. You probably don't give a crap about the BCS championship. So let's get
So we
on
put
with
football in my MMOs.
Yeah. So those
Blame
of
it on
you,
Guild Wars 2.
exactly. We'll do both. We'll give you. You see, if you're watching this, we'll give you score updates because Rob's watching it, and we'll talk about MMOs the entire time. And if you don't care, sorry. But anyway, we're gonna go through the hot bunch of news that we had this week. I'm sorry if you guys were trying to tune in on Saturday morning, but it was just going to have to be way too early because Rob had to go to work. Some stuff came up. We decided to push it back to Monday, but we will be back. Well, we might be bouncing back and forth with a schedule later on this week. We might try Friday night. We might go back to Saturday morning. I don't know. But hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this one, and if you miss it, we'll get it on YouTube afterwards. So let's go through our topics real quick, and then we'll start the rundown. We have the Star Wars update, which talked about the same-sex romances and how long it's taking to get them into the game, plus a new, what do you call it, open world PvP revamp. That's my dog you hear shaking. We have the War Z under attack by hackers. We have World of Warcraft's MOBA Battleground and MOBA, or DotA Battleground. DOTA might not mean what you think it means. We have Defiance's first beta event announcement, and Guild Wars 2's new World vs. World maps, or rather a hint at new World vs. World maps from Colin Johansson. And we have the City of Heroes story that Robert and myself, we actually broke thanks to the supreme contacts of Robert Lashley. Wave again, Rob. That was awesome, by the way. We got some good info from an anonymous source, but we can kind of banter back and forth on that. And then, of course, to end it all, we have the community spotlight, which is console MMOs. Do we want them? Do we not care about them? Do you think that they'll ever actually matter? So, starting it off, Star Wars update. It was the State of the Game update from Jeff Hickman this past week, and he told us how they're working on a bunch of stuff. And if you guys remember, it wasn't too long ago that Star Wars was about to launch, and BioWare announced that they weren't going to have same-sex relationships in the game with the companion NPCs. This is kind of something that BioWare's famous for, is allowing these same-sex marriages and relationships in their games. But Star Wars wasn't going to have it. So they said, they capitulated to the community that started to get really uproarious about it, and they said, okay, we'll put them in, but it's going to take some time. And what do you know? It's, how long has it been now? Over a year, and they're still not in, and they're not coming anytime real soon. What do you think of that, Rob?
You know, EA's been really good as far as a company is concerned about equality. This was actually in the news probably about a year or two ago where they actually had someone transgendered, and they actually went through the surgery and went through, I think they went from being a guy and they're a woman now. So I think as a company, EA and by extension BioWare is really good about being open.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as, you know, if they made the effort in the game, it's just one of those things they can't get in, it's not really hurting my feelings. I mean,
Yeah.
They're not being anti-homosexual. They don't have support for those kind of relationships in their game yet.
Well, they're saying we're trying, right? But
Yeah.
as we all know, the game didn't do as well as they had hoped, so the staff was cut back tremendously, and now that same staff is trying to put a bunch of more compelling content out there for everybody, and maybe they're not worrying so much about, you know, maybe 5% of the player base. I don't know what the number, I'm pulling that stat out of my butt, but I don't know what percent of the player base
Not
actually
touching that
cares
comment.
about same-sex relationships. Maybe they just, you know, it's not top priority when there's other things like, hey, can we get some more operations? Can we get PvP, which they're also obviously working on in the game.
Give me a continuation of my main storyline,
Yeah.
and that'll be something that's more worthwhile, I think, to people of all sexual orientations.
It almost...
You know, if you want to, no one's stopping you from RPing it. You know, if you want to have a same-sex relation with someone else in your server, hey, you can do that. You just can't with your companion characters right now.
And how much? I mean, okay, so maybe they're gonna put like the HK droid out, or he's already out. Maybe what they should have done is make that HK droid a same-sex companion. I don't know. That would have been a little weird.
It could be a little kooky.
Please insert your USB drive to me, meatbag. Uh, I
I
would.
aim to serve.
But in any case, they also talked. Jeff, I don't know. We already got off onto a bad start. I'm not sure if this one's going to pick back up and get back into a more serious tone. But anyway,
I think it started off pretty serious. You went high and to the right with it.
I did.
Where are you going with that one?
But Jeff Hickman also talked about Alum, the big open PvP map, and how it's still on their plate of things to revamp. If you guys followed Star Wars, Alum was supposed to be sort of like the saving grace for open world PvPers in the Old Republic when it launched, but when it came out it was an exploitable mess, and it got some revamp, but by then it was too late, and it's just still not compelling compared to the war zones that players actually enjoy in the game, like Hutball and stuff like that. So they're working on it, but again, it's one of those things that is coming down the line. What do you hope? You played it a little while, I mean, quite a bit, actually. You and I both did. But what do you hope for Alum? What do you hope for open world PvP in Star Wars? Because it's something that they're completely lacking, really.
You know, a lot of people went to that game on the hopes that they'd have good open world PvP.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole server arrangement deal where you applied and they'd pair you on a server and you really didn't get to pick with throwing guilds. I mean, that was a big selling point, and then it just failed. And, you know, a lot of things, unfortunately, for that game failed. I would really like for them to see them get it back together, but here's one of the things. Where's really the incentive? Because how do you spend all this money and time and resources on doing this open world PvP map and then monetize that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you get the cash? We've seen that problem in a lot of PvP games. How do you make the draw for meaningful PvP and then get people to pay for it in a free-to-play game and it not be pay to win? So it's a really, you know, it's a heroin wire to walk on.
I think one of the best things they could do for that, I mean, it's already in the game. Here's the thing with Alum, it's already in the game. But if they're to create a new PvP map, say it's not even Alum, it's some other, then you charge for that as a DLC. That's their best chance. Say, if you want to play this, you're paying for it, not give it to everybody else. I know that sounds like the devil's advocate, but that's really the best way to do it. If the whole focus of that content update is on a PvP map, make it, you know, you have to buy it to get it.
I don't really have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with them piecemealing out games. Like, say, hey, this is a content update. It's like $5. Buy it if you want. Don't buy it if you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the Secret World's doing. You know, buy to play with the box. We're going to have these issues coming out. You can pay, you know, however much it is, or you can pay the monthly sub still and get your points and buy it with points, or, you know, there's a couple different ways to get it. I think SWTOR could possibly do that. Mm-hmm. But if you're just somebody that wants to come back for PvP, then, you know, you got your $5 charge, and now you're sitting here playing all the time, and now EA BioWare is like, this is great, we got players, but we're not getting any more money from them.
Any more money. I guess, hopefully, the key would be is that the PvP is always going to be an ancillary activity, and that you have those war zones that people end up paying access for, and you have the subscribers. Maybe subscribers would automatically get access to that new war zone or to Alum or whatever it is, and that way it's an incentive for people to subscribe. I don't know. I'm not the one that's in charge of doing it. I just know that the game desperately needs it. Whenever we've actually talked with the BioWare folks, they say, "Well, what do you think we could do?" I remember Garrett and I are always like, "Dude, you have the Sith and and the Republic, and you can do so much with PvP in that game. Why don't you?" And that's always been our thing. And hopefully they'll get around to it now that they're. I think that they're doing better than they were before.
You got to make people want to kill each other. Have objectives within the PvP battleground that have influence on maybe things outside of the PvP battleground. Get people to want to go in there and fight it out. If not, you know, people are just gonna be like, it's a waste of my time.
It's a waste of my time, which is what Alum was. It was, you know, a waste. It wasn't a waste of the time as long as you knew how to exploit it. That once they killed the exploits, it was a complete waste of time. Moving on, we'll get away from Star Wars because they got a lot of stuff coming up. But we'll move to, very briefly, because we covered it a lot last week, we'll move to the War Z. Last week was actually under attack from a bunch of hackers, like trying to DDoS their servers and all this other stuff. What can you say about that? Like, it doesn't end for this company, and I don't know if I have a lot of empathy towards them or not.
Yeah, you know, they brought upon themselves, but you want to talk about kicking a dog when it's down.
Yeah.
You know? I totally, though, do not support any illegal activities like a denial of service attack
No.
on a company. I want to throw that out there right away. And I know we're kind of laughing about it, but it's really not. Because, I mean, there are probably some people that are still enjoying playing it. Now you're preventing them from playing it.
There's quite a few that actually love the game and are supporting it. And
yeah,
man,
so you're not really punishing the right people.
Yeah,
but
you're not.
Yeah, so it sucks. I mean, it people did, but it. I don't know where to go with it. It's so bad. They're so terrible, and they brought it upon themselves. Don't support it.
Yeah.
But good Lord, I mean,
I just don't know what to say, and I'm actually middle of reviewing the thing, and it's got redeeming qualities. I'm going to throw that out there. I've said that from the beginning. I've said it from
we don't do reviews based on promised things that are supposed to be in games that are there.
Exactly.
Just remember that, editor.
It has redeeming qualities, but boy, is it missing a lot of stuff that are, I don't know, important to the game. And I'm not even talking about the promised features. I'm just talking about it's not entirely functional as it is. So it doesn't surprise me, is what I'm getting at, that they were susceptible to these attacks, because they're a small company who managed to jump on this craze, build a lot of hype really quickly, sell access to their game, and then it backfired on them because they simply weren't ready to handle it. And that's what's happening to them more than anything. They just weren't prepared for the kind of attention they were going to receive. These guys made War Incorporated. It's not exactly a big game. And then they make this the War Z right as people are waiting for the DayZ standalone. And here is your standalone, your Promised Land zombie MMO. But that's just what it was on paper. That's all it was on paper. It was a great idea, and none of it is in the game yet. So everything that's happened to these guys, I think it's just out of arrogance that they didn't understand what they were getting themselves into by putting all this out there. It's my 2 cents. You're not saying anything.
I think we've said it all. I mean, you just talk about beating a dead horse.
Yeah. Beating an undead horse.
Yeah, an undead horse in this case. It's like, did you watch Family Guy last night?
I
it was The
actually watched
Simpsons
it this morning. Yeah, I watched.
It was
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons. At the very end, did you see it? Did you wait till after the credits?
After the credits? No.
Yeah, where the asteroid was headed to Earth and all the zombies were on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the zombie craze. What are you gonna do? So I waited too long to change the video, but there's some more Z footage for you. Okay, so moving on, we're gonna talk a little bit.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. We're going to talk a little bit about some World of Warcraft news. 5.2. 5.2. There we go. I had to get that out there. It comes out accidentally. 5.2. Patch 5.2 is on the servers, and it's good. But it's World of Warcraft. They've got a whole bunch of stuff out there, obviously, always on the public test realms that you can delve into, and some players at VG247.com got this footage of an unfinished map that is called Defense of the Alehouse. Players who pick up on that might realize that spells out DOTA or DOTA. What else is famously named DOTA? Well, the Warcraft mod, the Warcraft 3 mod, that is now also the major esport selling game from Valve, Dota 2 and Ice Frog. So anyway, this led everybody to think that is Blizzard working on Defense of the Alehouse as a sort of Dota version of their Battlegrounds? Like, are they trying to bring a Battleground that has Dota-like features? I kind of hope so, don't you? I mean, go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I really was a Alterac Valley player. Enjoyed it. I liked having the PvP and having some kind of PvE-like objectives inside of it. It made for an open worldish instanced PvP. I know that kind of...
There's my dog. That's Nugget right there. Just one
yeah, kind of circular talk there.
There he is. Wait a second. That's Nugget. Okay,
oh.
sorry.
All right, the dog's more important than WoW anyways. So, no. And then people that are out there like, oh, dinosaur mounts and WoW. Hey, just want to throw this out there. I had a Velociraptor out of ZG back in Vanilla WoW, so they've been around for forever. And by the way, if you're a Tauren on a... Because you couldn't get a Raptor as a Tauren in Vanilla WoW. You could only get it if you got the Rajashi, I guess Rizashi Raptors, I think that's what it was. And then if you
Nobody
took
knows.
Winterfall Firewater and popped that thing scaled to your character.
Oh, and there goes his headset, folks. That's the first one of the show, though. I want you guys to make sure that you know Rob has had some issues with his Logitech.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that was the first one, though. We've got...
No, it's actually the second one.
Was
You
it?
didn't hear the first one.
because I was talking. See?
You were. I just played right through it. I was like, doo-doo-doo. Yeah, I know what Bill's saying.
15,
Okay, anyways.
15 minutes in, folks, 2. Just counting them. I'm marking a tally. There, 2.
So, anywho, your mount scaled to your character size. So it was a big giant cow on a huge Tyrannosaurus Rex. Like I would run around through Warsong Gulch and people would just stop and like look and be like, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill you now. Scatter shot, aim shot, freeze trap, run away, boop, kill you.
It's a good thing that WoW's PvP was not about skill shots because you would be dead every time. I would have played a
Talk about, dude. I had all kinds of kills in WoW. Pretty good at the WoW PvP. Not good at Dota.
Well, anyway, I do think it's cool, and it shows, if this is a real thing that they're making, it shows that Blizzard is still aware, and as always, famously popular, or famously adept at pulling stuff from other popular games into their own. And since WoW, I mean, we've seen them do... Well, WoW was built upon somebody else's famous design. I mean, it was. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if they can pull that sort of PvP combat into WoW again, I would actually resub for a month to check it out. I gotta say, I would check out a Dota built by WoW with the World of Warcraft mechanics. I just don't know how it would work and if it would be any good.
A Dota built by WoW or a Dota in WoW? Because I think
a Dota
Blizzard's...
in WoW. Blizzard All Stars is a whole different story. We can talk about that like another show. Because for those of you that don't know, Blizzard is making their own sort of Dota. They actually had a whole copyright infringement like legal matter with
Valve,
Valve, yeah. And you are
I'm trying to
you're off camera. You have a lovely right
sorry.
here. There you go.
I was trying to paste a link. My apparently killed my keyboard in addition to
your headset. And it's gone again. 3. Is that 3?
Yeah. I killed my keyboard and my mouse. I'm like just a technical glitch waiting to happen.
It's okay. Eventually I'll talk to a picture of a cat.
It'll just be Bill's, you know. That would not be the first time you did that.
No, not
just
at all.
throwing that out there.
But anyway, Defense of the Alehouse Battleground preview. It's coming. We don't know what exactly it'll entail. When we reached out to Blizzard for comment, we actually did get a comment. All it was, was we don't comment on rumors. It was like a nice, like, maybe 5-sentence response from Zarim. I don't know how you actually say his name. You know, John Brown over at Blizzard, a community manager. He said, "Hey, yes, that stuff is available on 5.2. No, we can't tell you what it is. Thanks for playing. Bye bye." So keep your eyes peeled. 5.2 will be out probably in another month or so, and then you'll know.
I would just like to throw out here that this is a non-paid product placement for Logitech. So if you love my Logitech G930s, you're more than welcome to buy it.
Yeah.
If you're crazy.
If you're crazy, it's a piece of
Go
crap.
look at all the 1-star reviews I got. It's the most overpriced piece of shit you'll ever buy. Oh, I cursed on live TV.
Meanwhile, my Plantronics GameCon 970 or whatever the hell
so
it is perfect.
I did uninstall all the drivers, and I tried to do what the manufacturer recommended. I was trying to give it a shot to see if it would work. And it was okay last night. I went like 3 hours, thought I'd cut it.
But see,
so I'll go get new ones today.
Yeah, just go buy this for $40 or whatever I paid for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on from Defense of the Alehouse to Defiance. This is some gameplay footage. We showed this a couple weeks ago, but they announced their first beta event. It will be January 18th to the 20th. It will just be a weekend-long thing. He'll have access to the starter tutorial, one of the match-made instanced PvP things, the overworld first few maps, I suppose, and I don't know if you'll have access to the Shadow War, which is their sort of open world PvP toggle. You basically become part of the Shadow War, and it'll go on in the world around you, and you don't have to partake in it if you don't want to, but it's a big deal. So anyway, first beta for a game that's coming out in April 13th or something like that. The show itself was just announced today that it will be debuting on April 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sci-Fi with a 2-hour premiere. So there's
tax day.
Yeah, it's beginning. I guess the hype train is really starting to ramp up with these first few months of 2013.
Oh, where'd it go?
He's got his Defiance stuff because Rob got to go see some of the taping of the show.
Yeah, they even gave me a free copy of Haven.
Oh, that's kind of cool, actually.
Don't waste your time.
Really? Not that good?
Oh,
The people love that show. It's based on a Stephen King book.
yeah. There's a lot of movies based on Stephen King books that are terrible,
Yeah, if you name one.
and then there's some that are amazing, but
Okay,
there's some that
name
are
one
terrible.
bad one.
I don't know.
I don't know. Name one great one.
Hearts in Atlantis.
Really? You like that a lot?
Just throw that one
Just throw
out
that out
there.
there. I'm gonna go ahead and say one great one is Storm of the Century, like TV miniseries. That show rocked.
I'm gonna just be so like mainstream with this and just say The Green Mile.
Okay, that's fine. You can say Green Mile.
Amazing movie.
Plus, I mean, John Coffey.
Yeah. Michael Clark Duncan. God rest his soul.
There we go. Wow, we are getting off track today, but that's
Yes.
okay. We're making
Hey,
excellent
Defiance.
time.
Yes, Defiance. Looking forward to it. Hope I get into it.
Yeah. I don't know if we're actually going to get press access. I reached out and I wondered because it's kind of like it's almost like an open beta. They said they're taking a lot of signups. It's almost like a stress test. It's similar to what Guild Wars 2 did before launch. They just want to really stress the servers. They're not going to have a long beta period. But yeah, if you head over to vonbachindustries.com, that's VONBACH industries.com, you can sign up and hopefully get into the first beta weekend. But if you don't, you'll eventually make it into one of them, I'm sure. And it'll be interesting because this game will be on Xbox 360, the PS3, and the PC. So when you sign up for the beta, you actually pick which one you're interested in, and they're going to be running that beta weekend on all three platforms. So it'll be cool to see. Personally, PC.
They also announced that everybody that you see in the show will at some point make their way into the game.
Which is sweet.
They won't necessarily be a playable character.
Yeah.
Or an NPC that you can kill.
But they'll be there.
Yeah, and actually, you will see at the very beginning of the game a setup kind of for the show. So you will see two of the main characters in the show at the very beginning of the game.
I'm kind of glad that the show is launching after the game. It'll give me something to look forward to. Thursday night, the 15th or whatever it is. I'll be like, I've already played this for like 2
Tax
days.
day.
Tax day, yeah. Oh, what an impending day for the end of the world to happen.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I'm really
We've
looking
come to
forward.
America to take your taxes.
I'm looking forward to Defiance mainly because, PlanetSide 2 I'm terrible at because it's all PvP. I like the game a lot, but I don't play it a lot because I'm just bad at it, and I don't want to play something I'm just awful at. Defiance is PvE related, and I feel that's a little more approachable, so I'm looking forward to it. Moving on, man, we really.
I like
because
because the show is set in St. Louis.
Wait, we're not gonna move on. I'm gonna tell you something I found out. A good friend of Rob and my own, Chris Schmidt, who used to work for Tryon as a PR guy. He's moved on recently to Zam of all places.
You said where?
It's okay. Zam, they're good people.
Right.
They're our competition. But they're good people. But before he left, I asked him. I'm like, I've seen some.
Bill.
I'm here. Are you there?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And we're back. So that was quick. Sorry. I cut out in the middle of telling you a beautiful story. I don't know what happened to our phone call there. So we're going to get Rob back on video.
Well, I saw that the signal was degrading because my picture on Skype was getting worse.
It was getting bad, yeah. It happens like every other show. I just so you know, guys, I did test the stream before, and I got the green light from Twitch, so I don't know what happened there. But it seems like we're back. We just need Rob's video to come back.
You might have to recall me on Skype.
Bear with us. It's a good thing. See, this is a good thing.
Yeah, because my camera's off, so recall me with the video call. It didn't reestablish video.
Hang tight, folks, and then we will get back to our pointless, inane rambling. And here we go. Hey, look at that.
And my video's better now.
Video
but
is
I'm
much
not on
better.
the screen until it
That's okay.
blows it up.
You can sit back a little bit from the screen, too. That'll help the There we go. It was, like, real close. They were, like, this close. As everybody talked to Rob like this. Hi.
What's that? I can't hear you. My headphones don't work.
This is what happens when we do
And
the
my
show
keyboard
late at
doesn't
night.
work either. I don't know what the hell I did to this.
You have to figure it out after the show. In the meantime, show. Oh, there he goes. He disappeared. Anyway, let me tell you a little story. So apparently, did you ever watch those old shows like Renegade on USA and stuff like that? They had that they had the guy at the end. He would type his name on his typewriter, and then he would pull a paper off, and it would go behind him, and you'd find out that he was the guy that wrote the show. He had his own production company. Anyway, he made the show like Renegade and stuff like that on USA, and he was always in every one of his shows. He's one of those guys that thought he should be in the TV show as well as write the TV show as well as produce the TV show, direct it, whatever. He was just full of himself. Put it that way. I'm gonna get in dangerous water here. The president or CEO of Tryon is actually gonna be in the game. He's Von Bach. It's awesome. So just watch out for Von Bach.
Hey, for those of you guys that can't see the stream, refresh F5, and it'll bring it back up. Because when it dies like that while you're streaming, if it comes back up, sometimes you'll get hung up. I even had to refresh it to see the video.
Yep.
So, sorry, Bill.
Apologies. That's okay. So anyway,
President of Tryon,
CEO of Tryon is Von Bach when you're playing the game. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. You'll be like, oh my God, that guy's we can see him. He's in the video game and he's a billionaire, and we're not.
Yeah.
Pointless but fun. It's kind of what I'm known for. All right. So moving on. We go away from some Defiance info to Guild Wars 2. This is some World vs. World footage, an old trailer from before the game launched. But earlier last week, Colin Johansson, the lead content designer for ArenaNet and Guild Wars 2, casually dropped some hints that in the World vs. World update that's coming in January and February, they are not working on the existing home maps, or tweaking the existing home maps for World vs. World.
All right, it's 21-0. This just isn't working.
Notre Dame,
sorry,
you failed us.
Yeah.
They're not working on existing home maps for any of the three factions. However, they are working on brand new maps, and we might even see them as soon as February. I want to go ahead and say that that's pretty freaking cool. Although I'm not sure new maps are what's needed to fix World vs. World. Rob?
I would like to see new maps in the Borderlands. Not necessarily the Eternal Battlegrounds, but the Borderlands have some differences there. The only problem, again, you run into is balance. And, PvP is so much about having a quality product as balance.
Yeah.
But, you've seen things, too. It's like, just saw a couple GIFs the other day. People were making fun of, like, Dota and LoL, and those games are never completely balanced because you got to worry about making them fun first and then making them balanced. Because you make it balanced and then make it fun, it's not going to work out. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and make it fun. Make the Eternal Battlegrounds a little bit different. Rotate it out if you can. It might be difficult as far as matching new servers up every week, or was it every 2 weeks? Are they still doing it every week?
I think it's every 2 weeks now.
Every 2 weeks? Yeah, rotating the matchups every 2 weeks. You might have difficult doing that and making sure people get different ones.
And headset. That's 4, I think?
Yeah, make sure they get different ones. But put some differences in there. Because obviously the mirror is for the balance.
Yeah.
But give me something different to do.
Well, my only worry is that how will the new maps factor in to that point balance? Will new maps should they have upgraded the existing maps, or should they be bringing new maps in? And I'm not sure. I'm thinking maybe they should be upgrading the existing maps and adding new toys and new things to them before adding new maps in. But I guess I'll have to wait and see what they come up with and what they are, really.
Well, something they could do as well, is handicap them, essentially. So, you get points for controlling objects or whatever. Put a rating on the maps after a couple month or so and seeing how people are faring on the different Eternal Battlegrounds. Like, say, hey, you're on an Eternal Battleground that seems to be where the defenders are always losing this one. Handicap them. Give them a slight buff to make them stronger because they might be at less of a tactical advantage or whatever. Because you could figure out, track in metadata, that stuff, figure out who is at a disadvantage on that map after a month. You'd have a good enough
and they did
data pool.
They did make some changes just in general to the way World vs. World works, where the really underdog team gets some bonuses and things like that, which helped. Mm-hmm. It does help. Jade Quarry's always at it with Sea of Sorrows and Thunder or Storm Stormbluff or whatever the hell they're called, the ones that I hate. They're always at it with those. Like those are the three, and the underdog has categorically been Sea of Sorrows, or not Sea of Sorrows, Stormbluff Isle lately, and they're the ones that always get those sort of underdog buffs, and it keeps them in the running. I just wish they would die and go away, because it's pretty much always between Jade Quarry and Sea of Sorrows. I'm sorry, was that rude?
What?
Saying that they should always go away?
I don't know. If you're trying to kill them, I don't see how much ruder you can get. Yeah.
Competitive, I'm just saying. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what these new maps are, if they're sort of like a whole new mechanic being added to World versus World. Because if you remember, they took away those. Oh gosh, what did they call them? My mind's drawing a blank. The relics that you could hold to add stats and like bonuses and things like that for in PvE and everything like that. They would add points to for how many you held. I'm wondering if maybe this is their way of bringing those back in some way, shape, or form, or in that same sort of functionality. But we'll know very soon, because I do believe that Colin also said that he's got a big blog post that hopefully will come out later this week, talking about the entire game plan for Guild Wars 2 throughout the first 6 months of 2013, and that includes all the World versus World plus everything else they're working on. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Maybe you could have different Eternal Battlegrounds too, so you don't have to worry about getting rid of the mirrors for everybody on the Borderlands.
Maybe swap
and just
them,
say, okay, rotate out an Internal Battleground, every few weeks.
Or even the main map. How cool would that be? Is like if the main map changed every match, like just the main, like the. Oh, that's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh my God,
that's
sorry,
the Eternal Battleground.
It's too late. I'm thinking Borderlands. But yeah, that would be fantastic, because that would bring some new life. It's almost like Fractals of the Mist then. If they added a ton of new maps, then you're always got a random one that makes World versus World fresh every week or every 2 weeks.
That'd be cool. It would explain why all of a sudden you're fighting different realms on a border. How did I share a border with them last week, but I don't share a border with them this week?
Well, and it's
that's a different border.
It makes sense for the lore, how they have it in there, is that like it's the mists, and it's.
Is there lore behind WvW? I don't really think.
Well, they shoehorned it in there. It's like the mists. It's all in the mists, and the mists are like moments in time of Tyria and stuff like that, and you're fighting.
I must have missed that one in the books.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. But they have that explanation. It's somewhere out there, you could find it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they
look
come
on the
up
wiki.
With. Yeah, look, it's there.
Ask Colin when he's on the show. Hey, Colin, what's up with this?
See, that's just it. And we will find out what's really going on with all this stuff, because at the end of January, we'll have Colin on the show. He'll wake up bright and early with us, or he'll stay up late, one of the two, and chat.
He's in California, so he wouldn't even be late. This would be like dinner time for him.
Yeah, he won't be like me, who's like rambling and stuttering and talking about erroneous things. And anyway, moving on. I get up too early, folks. Yeah. Plus, now I have to take both of those clips off of Twitch, combine them in Adobe Premiere, and then upload them. That just made my night even longer. I love you people so much, I'm going to do it too. Or I'm going to make Evan do it, who might be watching right now. Hi, Evan.
I think he's an hour ahead of you, even.
He is.
He's like in Nova Scotia. I don't know if he's like an hour ahead of 5?
That's 5. I'm counting it off.
He's an hour ahead of EST.
Anyway, moving to our big topic for the week. Well, I think it's our big topic because Rob did some great detective work, and I wrote a decent article. We have City of Heroes. It went for freedom, which freedom was their free-to-play version, and then not too much longer later, it got announced kind of unceremoniously that it was going to be closed. And ever since then, there has been a lot of talk over whether or not City of Heroes and Paragon Studios were making a profit. As we learned via an anonymous source who Rob can both confirm he did work for Paragon Studios, but obviously we cannot say who they are. So they came to us, they came to Rob specifically, and wanted to clear the air on some numbers and things like that. And Rob, well, this is your story. Why don't you tell them what they told us?
Okay, so the source came to me. They wanted to talk about there's been a lot of reporting going on City of Heroes as far as whether or not Paragon Studios was turning a profit, and that this person felt that they wanted to clear the air. They very thankful for the amount of time that NCSoft invested into Paragon and the 9 years that City of Heroes ran. They in no way wanted to make NCSoft look like a quote-unquote bad person, are just...
6. It's been one of those shows.
Okay, so I will go buy a new headset tomorrow, I promise you. All right, so that's why I was asking if you had a new headset you wanted reviewed. Hi, Data shows up. Okay, so they wanted to make sure that we weren't throwing mud at NCSoft.
That's 7.
And you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I didn't drop you. I thought I lost you there. And I was like, okay, we won't. We'll and we double checked the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Bill and I also went into their earnings reports.
Yeah, quarter 2 and quarter 3, the most recent 2.
Yeah. So we went through and we vetted the information. It's not like we just blindly said, oh, this has got to be the truth because this person said it was. And we've worked with them both in the past, so it's a reputable individual. They weren't just some disgruntled artist that was a contract employee and got cut off. So it wasn't, just, and it obviously wasn't a forum poster that's like, well, call these guys. Yeah. And so anyways, good person. Wanted to clear the air, confirmed what we knew already about the financials as far as the earnings, gave us a baseline to work out some of the costs, did give us an exact figure for what they thought their expenses were at. Can't really verify that was probably the case. The person didn't.
We can't verify the overhead, really.
Yeah, there are some things that would lead us to believe that the figure...
7 headphone mishaps.
The majority of the individuals that would have been working at the studio would have probably had to have been on food stamps to
make this work.
To make the amount of money that he... to make that budgetary number fixed.
And not only that, and then we went to NCSoft for comment, and normally when you go to NCSoft or any company, really, for a comment about something like this, you're not going to get a response. But NCSoft was very candid in their response, and we pasted it in its entirety. It was from the Director of Marketing, Lincoln Davis. He's a great guy. I've known him for as long as I've been in this business, which has been 7 years in my young age, but known him for a long time. And he gave us a nice long quote that basically said, without any specifics, because they weren't going to release any information themselves about the money other than what was in their quarter earnings reports, they basically said that City of Heroes was not turning a profit, that there were more expenditures than there was more expenditure than there was income, and it was a strategic decision to shut the game down in preparation for their new releases. That's that, folks. That's all she wrote, right?
Yeah. That being said, the fact that they even bothered to have a statement to counter it, which normally they don't, will lead you to believe that we were relatively close on a number of the items that we brought up.
At the very least, and I think it reflects on the fact that those quarter 2 and there were nothing on the quarter 3 earnings because they just left the game off in there, but the quarter 2 earnings, they were there, and the quotes that we got from the source were very close or almost identical to what we saw on those earnings reports. So it's not like NCSoft can deny that the game was making money. All NCSoft is trying to say is it wasn't making enough, it wasn't making enough to turn a profit. It was basically, we decided about $12 million a year that it was pulling in revenue?
Roughly.
So our source also told us that there were about 80 people on staff. If you do a little thought experiment to yourself right there, say that each of those people, every one of them, was making a flat salary of $50,000 a year. Add in the fact that there's also Social Security and FICA and all that other stuff you have to pay for. That alone is probably about, $5 to $6 million a year in human resources expenditures. And then add into that the fact that they've got other operating costs such as power, utilities, what else do we have? Servers, advertising, the other staff that work for NCSoft on the game that have nothing to do with Paragon Studios. I mean, the list goes on. It's easy to see how they would eat through that $12 million a year rather quickly, is it not?
Yeah. Especially if you're working on a second IP, which they were, because a lot of people out there asking, whatever happened to a City of Heroes 2, because City of Heroes 1 was so successful. Regardless of the way it ended, 9 years for an MMO is an extremely long time. So unequivocally, it was a success.
It was the Widowmaker. It was the original
Yeah.
Widowmaker.
So where was the sequel? So and NCSoft didn't want to do it.
Yeah, they were every year they were more and more uncomfortable with a superhero MMO.
And they own the IP. So unless they sell that IP to somebody, it's not going to happen. No, I can't just, someone else can't just pop up and say, oh, here's a City of Heroes 2 without NCSoft selling it. And if with NCSoft wanting an $80 million price tag
that was the
for the
report,
IP, that's, to me, is one of the more astounding figures.
Yeah, considering it
how much
couldn't
they
be
want
worth
for
that
it.
much. It couldn't be.
Well, there's tech involved, the possibility of profits off of a second City of Heroes 2 if someone did finally go ahead and
I
make
guess you
that.
would want a lot of money to say, yes, okay, we're not going to make it, but if you're going to, we're taking our share.
So it's a business.
Yeah.
And the 80 people, not all 80 were necessarily working on City Heroes 2. I don't know how many were.
Yeah.
That does sound like a lot. I don't know how many were working on the new IP.
I would bet in general, if considering there was nothing announced for the game and for all intents and purposes, we weren't led to be that there was that much work done on the new IP, which was sort of like, as Rob put it in his notes, Lost meets, what was it, Minecraft? Yeah, Lost meets Minecraft.
That's the way they explained it.
For all intents and purposes, I would say that there were probably less than 1/8 of that studio was probably working on the new IP, although, again, that's just in my experience knowing how many people are working on a new game before it really goes into full production. It's usually a very small, select, creative few before it actually goes to the rest of the company. So if there was 80 people there, I'd be willing to bet that between 60 and 70 were on City of Heroes, but maybe I'm full of crap too, so I don't know.
The bottom line is, it is a business, and NCSoft was well within their rights to do what they want. I think the majority of the reason that there's so much talk around it, to kind of answer Evan, is that NCSoft's inability to sell the IP, and the fact that there apparently was a management attempt to buy the studio back from NCSoft.
A Kickstarter.
A Kickstarter for it. The video was made, the page was made, it just never went live on the website because they were getting ready to do it, and NCSoft said 80 mil is what they were looking at, and that came from our source, but it's also, we've bounced that number off of a couple forum posts that were inside of COH Titan, which is another community site which was trying to organize,
save
City of Heroes. So they got it, the number leaked from somewhere, and it kind of meshed what we had. So that's why I feel pretty confident that that's in the ballpark what they wanted, and that's just much money.
And I mean, we could talk about it. It's been a couple months now. It'll probably be talked about for a while, just like Star Wars Galaxies is still talked about. The game is gone. It is very sad. It was one that I loved. It was one that our community manager, Mike Bitton, cut his MMO teeth on. He loved it as well. By the way, he also loved Star Wars Galaxies before it got turned into crap. Sorry. And then, so what I'm trying to say is, it sucks. It's gone. We had it for 9 years. I'm kind of an optimist when it comes to these kind of things. You'd rather enjoy the 9 years you had with it than sit here and bitch about it for the next 30. We are fortunate enough to play a sort of game that we get more playtime out of than any other game genre, really. I mean, you're not going to go play. You might play Legend of Zelda again and again, but it's not the kind of game that you would say you could say that you spent an actual 9 years with. And despite the fact that it's a game...
It's been like 27 years, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but you didn't spend 27 years actively playing it. There are people that played City of Heroes from day one, like the entire time. And it's almost like losing somebody, like a friend, like a family member or something very important in your life. It's like losing a job unceremoniously. And it sucks, but it is a business for NCSoft, and they are under no obligation when you sign that EULA to keep it running forever just because you want it to be there. It's gone. It sucks. Thank God we have videos and YouTubes and private servers one day.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised no one's really been talking about that. Not that, again, it's something we endorse because it's
illegal.
They're illegal. But I'm surprised because there are games that are out there now that have private servers. I'm surprised there's not any for COH yet. With how fervent their fan base is, I can't believe somebody hasn't set it up.
There's a certain staff member I know who will remain nameless, and it's not Rob or I, that is playing an Ultima Online free shard and loves it. It happens, and it will happen for
It
City of
happens in a lot of
Heroes.
Mythic games.
Yeah, it will happen for City of Heroes one day. I guarantee it. But it's gone, guys. It sucks.
Yep.
I'll miss it. Everybody else will miss it.
And there'll probably be one or two this year. Not that I have the inside track on anything,
No, I
but
would bet
there'll
money.
probably be one or two that go this year as well.
I would bet money on it. Yeah. So just love your games while you have them.
Hug them,
Hug them.
tuck them in,
You never know when they're going to be taken from you.
rub their backs.
All right, our final topic, going on to something a little more cheerful, but still goofy, I guess. This is a video from DC Universe Online because our community spotlight this week focuses on the console MMO and yay or nay. Somebody asks on our forums, the user, he said, is it just me or am I the only one that really wants more console MMOs? And we've had a couple. We had Final Fantasy XI. We have DC Universe Online. We're about to have Defiance. Personally, I loved DC Universe Online. I did not play it on the PS3. I played it on the PC quite a bit at first, at launch, and then for several months afterwards. And I still dip in now and again. And I play it with my Xbox 360 controller, so I guess in a way you could say I play a console MMO. My thing with console
Did you mention A Realm
MMOs
Reborn?
Don't forget Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. You're right. That's
Which could quite possibly be the biggest out of all the ones you just
yeah, but
mentioned. But
who knows when it's actually going to come out? The beta for that's not even going to start until after the PC version comes out, as according to the last timeline. But yes,
Really?
yeah, that's what it actually said.
I thought they were trying to look for.
No, they're making it like it's gonna like the PS3 version is going to be continue to be in development for. This is what is his name? Is it?
I'll pull up
Noshida?
my timeline right here.
Yeah. But there's like a PDF
Just-
document.
So I don't get called out like Casey did last week. They've only been working on it for 6 months.
There you go. That's the timeline. He put that out. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misread it, but I do believe they're going to be working on the PS3 version as they're launching the PC version. But in any case, it is coming. This isn't like Age of Conan that was going to be on Xbox and then never actually happened. And it's also, PlanetSide 2 was originally supposed to be on the PS3, but they shelved it in favor of the PC, and they'll one day, if we're lucky, we'll get it on the PS3 as well. But there's also Dust 514. That'll be on the PS3 only. We can spend all day talking about that decision, but that's a PC or a console MMO. So I don't think, while Rob's looking that up, I don't think we're done seeing console MMOs. If anything, I think if Defiance is a success, which I hope it will be, we're going to see more of them. They just might not be what we're used to seeing as an MMO. You're not going to see a lot of World of Warcrafts that are console MMOs. You're going to see action-based things. You're going to see MMOs that make sense for that control method. And I guess, really, maybe if consoles start to change the way I think they're going to change, and they become more about cloud-based gaming and Steam Box, maybe the thing that's going on at CES right now with the whole Steam-based console on your TV, you might see some hardcore MMOs on a console because they'll be PC games played on your TV. So that's my feelings. Rob, what did you just find out?
Phase 3 is going to be when the PlayStation 3 beta starts. So you're going to have
that's
Phase
like
1,
spring?
which is Windows PC, Phase 2, Windows PC, then Phase 3 is going to have Windows PC and PlayStation. So they're going to get the core systems rebalanced on the PC and the gamepad controls on the PC, and then they're going to start doing global testing of version 1.0 and character data import from
There you go.
PC and PlayStation 3.
What's the actual timeline for that, though?
Well, Phase 1 could be 2 to 4 weeks, subject to change. The debug could be 1 to 2 weeks, which could blow way out of proportion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these debug phases are set to 1 to 2 weeks, and they could take a long time. Phase 2, 1 to 3 weeks. So longest, we're looking at 4, 6, 9, 2, and then Phase 3 will start. So was that 11?
Good math.
That's
man.
yeah. So, anyways, there we go.
So there you go.
So yeah, April
April.
at the earliest, probably before you see PS3 beta, which you'll just download it.
And that's a big one. And that's a big
You're not
one
gonna have to
too.
mail you a disc or anything.
No, that's a big one too because Final Fantasy XI was the first console MMO. Although it was
My brother had it.
Was Phantasy Star Universe or Phantasy Star Online 1? Was that ahead of them? I
I
mean,
don't know.
it was a.
Hey,
It
we
was
can't forget about Dragon Warrior. What is it, 11 or 10? That's you could play on the Wii.
Yeah, is that really an MMO though?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's Square Enix. Who knows?
Yeah, but so,
EverQuest Online Adventures, but that was after Final Fantasy 11,
well, yeah, exactly. Well, don't. Here's
and
my
it's
question
shut
for
down.
you. Do you think we're going to see more console MMOs, or do you think that it's sort of a
I
lot
think
of?
we are.
Do you think?
I mean,
I
look,
think a lot of games are going to be like MMOs. Period. Like they're going to
you got
have that
that
kind of
too.
functionality.
I look how many just you named off that are coming out this year, and Dust has been in beta for a while now.
Yeah, you could play that
You
game.
know.
Anybody can play that game pretty much.
Pretty
right now.
much, it's what I like to refer to as a soft release. I mean, look how many games out there that are in beta, and they've been in beta for a year.
Smite.
But as long as you know exactly,
DotA.
as long as you sneeze on somebody that knows the game, you could
Firefall.
get into it. It's like the flu. It's like, oh god, you just gave me beta for
Give me beta.
Firefall.
Ah,
Damn
God,
it.
beta. Ugh.
So I just give those things away. So yeah, I think that we're going to see
A lot more.
especially if as consoles become more like PCs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to really push.
The control methods will change though. You can't.
Yeah,
You can't. If you want to enjoy a console MMO, you can't go into it thinking you're going to have a keyboard and a mouse in your lap. You're going to have a controller and you're going to have a headset. That's it.
and yeah, that's one of the things too. Is you're not going to have your keyboard, which is going to suck.
Yeah. And it's
For me, in my
there are a lot of
opinion.
people. A lot of people I know, a lot of old school MMO gamers. They don't like voice chat. They don't want to be forced into it, and so maybe they would stay away from those games. But I found it more often than not, it's really easy to deal with in PlanetSide 2, and the people you don't like, you can still mute them real easily too. That's great for coordination, and considering these console MMOs are going to have that sort of combat and action, you're not going to have time to stop and type. Period.
Yeah. Here's something that's kind of bad. Sorry. Someone just mentioned it, Crimson. They're going to screw with PC controls if they make it cross-platform.
Yeah.
You're going to have a limit on the amount of cross-platform stuff you can do too. Because keep in mind, you're not going to be able to have an MMO that you can play simultaneously
With other
on
platforms.
the PC. Well,
Period.
you could probably do it with PC and PS3, which
But they won't do it. Like they
no,
they were
Final
talking
Fantasy is doing it.
you're going to be playing together. Well, I guess that.
Yeah,
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
See, that's
Unless they
I'm
change something.
uneducated on that too because. But I
You
guess
did in
that,
Final Fantasy 11.
well, you did, but I didn't think 14 was going to.
You do an
have it.
Xbox 360 now.
But that's 11. I think they were moving away from that for 14, but maybe I'm completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they're not. That would be awesome. That
I thought they were supposed to be on the same.
increases
But
the
anyways,
user base.
you're not going to see people with
Xbox and PS3.
Xbox and PS3s playing, yeah, and that's not because they don't. The developers can't get the technologies to talk together. They very much can.
Who's it because
It's,
of?
Xbox 360 owners. Yeah. So yeah, also known as Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't want to play with Sony.
Yeah. Which
So-
it's business again. There you
Yeah,
go.
it is.
But
It's all
to
about
be-
money. But
to
as
be
far as
honest-
MMOs, it's kind of bad because you're
Yeah,
breaking
you're
down them
segregated.
massively, and
Well-
you're putting people in spheres.
Yep, and that's what happened with it's what happened with PS or with DC Universe. You can't play on either or. DC Universe isn't cross-platform; it's just on both. You can't play with PS3 people while you're playing on the PC, despite the fact that you think you would be able to. And shooters, I almost don't want it. If I was playing on my console, I wouldn't be playing with PC shooters. They're going to have an unfair advantage with the mouse and keyboard setup. There's no way around it. Like if PlanetSide 2 was going to go cross-platform, I would definitely hook up a mouse and keyboard to my PS3 if that was the only way I wanted to play it. Because I'd rather die anyway, but I'd rather not die as much.
Almost any of your mouses and your keyboards these days, you can plug USB into your PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360, so you'd be all right.
Yeah, you'd be okay as long as it supported it. The game has to support it first, and I know Dust finally does, but it didn't in early beta. So yeah, there's that. Console MMOs, they're not going anywhere. In fact, I think, as Rob said, and I said also, you're going to see consoles become more and more PC-like anyway, so you're just going to have games that are just available everywhere you go. Everywhere.
Yeah. Here's a mind blow, though. Steam Box running Linux.
Yeah,
or Linux, whatever you want to say.
we were just talking about that while you were looking up your Final Fantasy thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there's a fourth though sphere of what I'm saying that Xbox should be like, oh, we're not going to play with them. So then there's another console that are developing for. Well, but I guess PC they would cross-platform there.
Yeah. Well, the Linux.
Never mind.
The Linux
Disregard
stuff.
my.
It might. Yeah. It's gonna work. It's gonna work with everything else anyway. I think. We'll have to see. In fact, at the Consumer Electronics Show right now, there is from XI13, some hardware company, they're showing off their Steam box because Valve is not only making their own, but they're outsourcing it to third-party developers who want to make their own Steam boxes. So you're just going to have these different branded.
Like they did with the 3DO back in the day.
You're going to have different branded Steam boxes, and you can pick whichever one's best for you, whichever one costs the best price or has the best hardware. You can pick it, which is it makes sense for Valve. They're traditionally not a company that is very known for hardware, so they're kind of letting everybody get their hands in it, and we'll see which one comes out on top. I'm excited for it. I know a lot of people will just hook up their laptop, but I want something like small and compact to put by my TV, and I'll be set. But yeah, so there's that. Anything else? Anybody want to talk about anything else? We're done if not.
Apparently there's no DirectX for Linux, so we're the most uneducated people that have ever talked on the internet.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna matter. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't think Valve would be putting that much money into it if that was gonna matter. They probably know more than that guy who's talking too, just like he knows more than us. So yeah, I'll wait and see.
Anyways, to answer one of the questions that someone said, what's the point of a Steam box? Well, here's the deal. It's going to be a smaller point of entry cost for people. Instead of having to buy a PC, you can buy a Steam box and hook it up to your TV.
Yeah.
So now you've got like a $300 console that plays PC games.
Well, just like the Ouya, which is $99, and it's a streaming cloud-based piece of streaming gaming awesomeness. Which, if that'll be out in March for $99, it'll essentially be like a dedicated on-live console. So as long as you have a solid connection, you could play pretty much anything with low latency. Hopefully, we'll see how well that works too. But yeah, so console gaming. Why are we talking about it on an MMO show? Oh well, everybody, it is 10 o'clock. I gotta go to bed because I gotta be up at 5. Rob's gotta go to bed. Not really. He stays up. He is in insomnia.
I have to cry because Alabama's
destroying Notre Dame.
Beating the crap out of Notre Dame. It wasn't very nice.
But thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with our technical difficulties. First the stream DOP, and then, of course, Rob's headset, which he will have replaced by next week because I'm going to have to send him one.
My plan worked. Free shit.
The only ones I have sitting around are ones that I've replaced because my microphone sucks. This is the only working one, so I think you're SOL, buddy.
You have a really expensive one that sucked too. So that's what we're learning, that expensive headsets usually do not work out well.
Yeah, just buy a Plantronics. Apparently they always work, and so far no problems. And it may not be the prettiest, but it works well. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We will probably see you either Friday or Saturday this week. Once we know for sure, you will know. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.